Yes, in the studio with us today, we have a colleague. So we will be doing what we all know how to do best. So when you have all the broadcast journalists seated, I'm sure that we are going to be talking, and I hope the producer will not come and send us out of the studio this morning. All right, discussing with us today is a seasoned broadcast journalist. She's the executive director for Hope for the Masses Foundation and the convener of the Nigerian Grassroots Governance Summit. She is no other person than Oluwatomisin Adebukola. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to be here with both of you this morning. The talkativeness started before me. So, they need to know I'm not starting. They've been doing the banter before I got here. So please, minus me from
Okay, just wait until she starts.
Until she starts. Honestly, you know, I was all over my scripts. I was looking for a name. It just occurred to me that maybe because of the familiarity.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
I was looking for a name all over my script. I realized that I actually omitted a name from the script.
You almost wanted to call her the name you're used to.
Yes, that's just because I know a name. So, you know, somehow I just skipped it somehow. As I was telling myself, what if it's someone I was not familiar with this morning? Good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Good to have you on the other side this morning. I don't think I've ever had. Yes, we've
The
always.
truth is, you've seen me on the other side, but you've not had me on the other side.
Yes,
it's always been on the same side.
on the same side.
side,
Yes,
yeah.
we've always been on the same side.
On
But
the
now
opposite side.
you are on the other side.
Yeah.
Yes. As a broadcast journalist, let's start from there. Why the passion? What actually gave you the passion for delving and trying to do things and trying to let there be a change in grassroots governance?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being on the morning ride this morning. I will begin by saying that the business of broadcasting itself is not just reporting the stories as we see it or telling the people what we experience on the job. Is also trying to impact change, and that's why we're called the fourth realm of the estate. And you see, the job of a journalist is as important as that of the president.
True.
The problem that we have is the fact that I usually tell people that our job is going into extinction because the relevance that is attached to the profession is no longer there. The expertise that is required to be part of the profession, the respect that comes with being in the profession is gradually dwindling and becoming something that a lot of people have taken for granted over a long period of time. And so our word is no longer as powerful as it was in the days of Deligiwa. Our words, our opinion is no longer as reverenced as in the days of when I was reading Newswatch with my father. And so now we read newspapers and it's filled with propaganda. We talk and we're sharing more of our opinion than the fact of the matter.
True.
And I'd not say that we are not contributing. We have not contributed to the problem. We have gradually left the ethics of the profession and we are more about chasing the clouds because we can see that people are not trained on the job, becoming much more popular and much more respected than we who went through the hurdles of training for the job. So somewhere along the line, we're losing the facts of the matter. Now, for someone like me who has spent, I joined broadcasting in 1996, in 2006, 2006, and as an undergraduate, I joined NTA. And so, having been in the business that long, I found out that to drive home the change that is required takes more than sitting on the other side.
Wow.
People no longer listen. The fewer the listeners, the more difficult it is to drum it home. So while some of us are still doing the talking, some of us must be doing the acting.
True.
We must be shaping policies. It's one of the reasons every time I go to school, every time I go for a diploma, every time I go for a course, every time I read a book, I have a book I'm reading right now, it's right there. And the book says, How to Label a Goat. when I saw the book a couple of days back, and I said I want this book, it didn't make sense to the people around me at that point in time. But those who knew me well, three of us were there, and those who knew me well understood why I needed the book. It's simply about the English Parliament, the kind of laws that is being churned out, and how it affected their society. What has happened to their legal system, to their laws, to their democracy, what is dwindling in their community. So I felt, oh, my, this is the kind of book I need to read.
Exactly.
I am intentional about what I consume in terms of knowledge, in terms of books, in terms of policies. And all of this is simply because you must be equipped to talk about what you want to inspire.
Exactly.
So rather than just analyzing the newspaper, reading it to the people, leaving them to come up with their own opinion, propaganda, and then leaving the people who are going to whip their sentiments up with lies and fake news, I'd rather be on the other side and shape opinions.
Well done.
Giving them the facts.
Wow.
Well done with
That's
what
why the deviation. Really.
Wow.
So well done with what you do. Well done, well done, well done. Okay, let's, when I was giving the opening script, I talked about the divide between the urban and the rural community. And we all know that what makes the urban community urban itself is development.
Yes.
So
Yes.
why is it that some people constantly, consistently enjoy the development while others are left behind? Because so why I'm saying this is that there are a lot of communities that used to be rural, but somehow maybe one person maybe that grew up from that place got to top position and remembered his own whatever, and development
try to change.
continued. So why is it that some places consistently enjoy development and others are left aside?
Okay, so there are diverse ways to look at it. I'll begin with, first of all, what is being done in those communities. It's the government, the people themselves, taking responsibility for what is there. Let's begin with the government. Would you rather develop Ikeja? Would you rather pump 3 billion naira into Ikeja? Or would you go to Imota and pump 3 billion naira into Imota? You know where Imota is?
Of course, I do.
Imota is in Ikorodu. It's an
Ikorodu,
LCDA of the Ikorodu local government. Would you rather? Now, let's look at why. How many people live in Imota? How many people live in Ikeja? The population also tells the difference. Then, how many businesses exist in Ikeja? How many businesses exist in Imota? Why are more businesses in Ikeja than in Imota? The reason is simple. The people in Imota grew up, went to school, admired Ikeja, and migrated to Ikeja rather than staying to develop their communities. That's the problem.
True.
So the point is this. If I grew up in Elisha and I spent the larger part of my growing up years in Elisha and I left Elisha for Ibadan, to live in Ibadan for a couple of years, and I take the knowledge and the money back to Elisha, and 3-5 other classmates of mine do the same, what you would see is that we would drive development to Elisha, and the people in Elisha will begin to enjoy a little bit of development here and there. But when we all pack our load and we run to the city, because we get better jobs, we get better opportunities, we marry finer women, we find more successful men, we live in better houses, and we all move to the cities. Our parents are left in that. So what value proposition are you pitching to the government to take back? Why would the government take development, massive development, back to that village so that who will enjoy it? Do you know how many banks fold up in communities like that?
True.
I remember the days when I was growing up, ordinary eateries could not thrive
Exactly.
in Elisha. They could not. A supermarket of give the names, the smaller ones cannot thrive in Oshogbo. That's the reason why somebody cleared up an entire secondary school thinking that it was going to put a big brand there to have a shopping mall that would site about 70 businesses. Until date, that secondary school, Fakunle High School, for people who know Osun State very well, Fakunle High School ceased to exist, but that land is still a car park. Because no business will go to that community. Exactly. Why? There is no patronage. I will measure what I want to go invest my money in. Exactly. I can't take money to a community when I can make money. So what then should the government be doing? The reason why the divide exists is because people move out. Exactly. So the government now needs to make those communities attract. The only person who can do it is the government, because no private institution, no private company will take their money and invest in a community. The best that can happen is a production company or a manufacturing company will first of all provide housing, healthcare. They will make sure they have healthcare for their staff, so that when we take our factory that will possibly employ 1,000 people to a rural area in Oyo State, we are doing it so that we will attract 1,000 staff. But those people must have accommodation that is suitable. They must have healthcare very close by. They must have markets. They must be able to have a semblance of civilization within that community so that it will be attractive for them. Rather, many of their staff will start jumping ship. True. That's what happens. So a private organization cannot do it, but a public institution can. And that's why the government, the blame usually lies on the back of the government.
Talking about the blame lying on the table of the government, do you think, because all of these rural communities also, the grassroots also, they have the local government chairman, they have their councillors and all of that. Now, from the higher hierarchy, do you think that there are some policies that must be put in place? Now, talking about autonomy, we have autonomy now. Do you think that financial autonomy? Do you think that some policies must be put in place so that the essence of this autonomy would not be, just pushed aside?
I like to begin by saying, to answer your question, by saying that we first of all need to start having local government chairmen who are educated in the role. I'm not talking about academic qualification. Educated in the role for which they were employed by the community.
In terms of governance.
What are your functions?
You're elected.
What is the duty of a local government chairman? Are you aware that that local government is meant to prepare policies, economic ideas, and sell to the government, to the state government? They're supposed to be contributing to the government to say, my environment is ripe for Gary production at a massive level. That is my own biggest point, selling point.
My selling point, my strong point.
I need 3 factories that will be willing to come and do this in my community. What stops the local government chairman from becoming the chief marketing officer of his local government and approaching organizations to come do that? Somebody in Lagos looked at his community and decided that he wanted to build housing estates. And people thought it was a joke. He's maybe one of the second or third local government chairman in the entire 774 that have done that before. So the question I'm asking is, what happened to the others? We are fond of doing, and I'm speaking to the local government chairman, we look more at, once I renovate a school, change the roof, borehole, healthcare center, and I built 3 rooms of the healthcare center. I have done development in my local government. Do you know how long it took a staff of mine to go from Abeokuta to Odeda local government to actually deliver a letter? Now, it took him 2.5 hours on a bike. So imagine a bike. Now, it got to the place and he said, "Ma, this is a village. I don't understand." And that was the local government secretariat. Are you saying that in the whole of Odeda local government, there is nothing that is sellable that should attract people to come to those communities? We need to have local government chairmen. And I'm speaking for those who are also going to be elected into office today. because Ogun State is also conducting their local government elections. We need to begin to have local government chairmen who understand the job. You must know for what job. I mean, when we're employed, we get a JD, right? A job description that tells you this is your job. You must know that your job is to develop your community. So it is not about the federal government now. The fact is going to be giving them financial autonomy. What would they be doing with the money? And I, for one, would say that you don't need to buy cars for your 4750 appointees. That you will possibly, lists are already being submitted to you right now. Lists are already being collated. You don't need to, I'm not saying don't appoint them, but I'm saying you don't need to buy cars for all of them. You can invest that money in the community. You can look for something that will make your community rival with the other community that is thriving. Until those communities begin to develop from the bottom. I call it development from the bottom up. Why? Because if I find Gary as the biggest thing I can sell in my community, and I am able to attract 3-4 development experts to come there, or companies to begin to put up factories and all that and produce at a mega level, then nobody would dare go to Cotonou and import Gary in. They would rather go to Odeda, they would rather go to Irua, they would rather go to, they will go to communities where they can find it in Nigeria. But those, why are we importing things that can be grown in our communities? Today, people are planting tomatoes in bags, in nylons, in villages, in their towns, in Ikorodu, all under the initiative of the Lagos State government through the Ministry of Agric, giving seedlings to people, encouraging them with fertilizer, telling them go and plant this. People are planting. My friend is already asking me right now, how many buckets of tomatoes do you want to buy? Our tomatoes seeds are growing. That is somebody growing. But do you know that when we did a survey, no single local government in Lagos is pushing the agricultural trend. Nobody.
Okay, let me just quickly hold your thoughts there, because talking about the local governments in Lagos State, I know that you just had a summit. We're going to go there. But before then, let's go on this very short break. We still have our guests in the studio. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Okay, welcome back. We still have Oluwatomisin Adebukola in the studio with us, and we have been talking about bridging the gap between urban-rural development. All right, thank you for being here and still chatting with us on this crucial topic. Okay, before we went on that break, we were talking. You delved into local government and their responsibilities and the things they do, and yes, we can use Ogun State as a case study, because today they are making their own decisions at the local level, and it's good that we can hear things like this thanks to the present day government that decided and put the policy in place that the local government chairman that isn't elected does not have anything in his purse. So we hear of all of this, at this time. And I know that you just organized a summit wherein you invited a lot of the local government chairmen all over the states, using Lagos State, where we are domiciled in as a case study. What do you think? How far do you think there's a future in all of this, making a reference to the summit you just had, having having a discussion with the stakeholders?
Okay, so the Nigeria Grassroots Governance Summit was an opportunity for us. It's called NIGSA for short. Was an opportunity for us to drive conversations like this and speak to the people who are directly involved. Now, if we have conversations behind their backs, and I don't want to ask them how many people, I will put them in the newspapers, how many people would take their time to read the entire article? Let's even assume that they read newspapers. Or how many minutes of the summit would a news station like yours put on, even if you cover it? So we needed an opportunity to put them in one room and come up with a paper. The paper is actually ready, which we're going to be publishing across different mediums, just for them to say, you heard it, but then we're sending you a paper that you can always go back to consult and tell you what was said there. This is it. We need our elected officials to begin to listen. And I found out that they're not just the only ones working. Don't forget that they are listening to their civil servants as well. That's the people in the civil service who work in the different local governments. Also speak to them. So we need people in local governance to begin to listen. From the chairman to the council managers to the staff of the local government. Whoever it is needs to begin to listen. We need a system where when they listen, they would also know that they serve the people. The people do not serve them. The people should not be coming to you to ask for opportunities, to ask for benefits that is your responsibility to give to them in the first place. You should be the one going to the communities to say, how can I serve you better? What would it take you to do a town hall meeting in your community? Let's assume that your local government covers 3 villages and 2 towns. What would it cost you to go to those towns and villages and do a town hall meeting? They would not mind taking a bicycle, riding a bicycle for that town hall meeting, knowing fully well that their chairman will be there, rather than you now expecting them to ride their bicycle all the way to wherever your local government's office is, and then sit in front of the office where your secretary would not allow them to enter, and then they will wait and wait and wait, and then when they are going home, you just say, Kilefe, what do you want? What do you want? The people you serve. You cannot be a local government chairman and be far from the people that you serve. You are actually a mayor. You're meant to be walking on the streets, interacting with them on a daily basis. Your job is not in the office, pushing paper. Your job is on the streets of those communities, going from street to street to understand. I mean, we go to local government and it's quite preposterous that you find out that the drainage is completely broken down. And it will take the Ministry of Environment in Lagos to go fix it, or the Ministry of Works. It's actually the duty.
You even find manholes, you find potholes rather.
Right in the center of the road. And we hear things like, it is the duty of the local government to fix drainages. It is their responsibility as stipulated by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is not the duty of the Ministry of Environment. They have a bigger oversight function. It is your job, basically. Your drainages must not be clogged up. You don't need anybody to tell you. You have councillors representing wards. In fact, you can begin to tell the councillors, I need you to walk around your ward today. Let me know which drainages need to be cleared up. Just imagine that everybody is doing their job. Taking, for example, a state like Lagos. You are clearing the drainages at Wendu. Maybe make it a point of duty. Employment is part of their responsibility. They should actually be making sure that there are jobs. How do you create jobs? Get people to somebody in those days had sweepers in Mushin. People sweeping the community in Mushin. What would it take you to have people who are clearing drainages on the payroll of the local government? You are generating employment. This will stop depopulation, because when your local government can give jobs to the young people, they would not go to Lagos to go and be cat pushers. Because in their local government, they are useful to the environment. Create jobs. We need to begin to find a way to make sure that young people are well engaged within the localities where they live. Create jobs for them so that you can stop depopulation. It's the only way.
For as long as you've been pushing this cause, what would you say are your biggest challenges?
Okay, so the first thing I said was that we need to have elected officials who understand the assignment, who understand the job. The second are the people themselves. In fact, they're the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge we have are the people that are being served. We, the electorate, we had the problem. First, we do not ask for the right things. We are the ones who want to go, sir,
Can you translate that for
So I'm going to do that in English. I'm basically saying, sir, sorry, sir, I came because the man is asking you, what are you here for? He says, sir, but your child has given birth. It's not your child, it's my child. Your child has given birth. We go to them begging for money for naming ceremony, asking for money, not for school fees, mind you, not for school fees.
Exactly.
Asking for money for wedding, asking for money for burial, asking for money to buy a shwebi. We go to them asking for the most irrelevant things that exist in the book. Just imagine that 17 of us go to a local government chairman and sell him 30 ashwabi at the cost of 13,000 naira.
But do you think that if the local government chairman or whoever is at the helm of affair had actually done what he or she is supposed to do in his community. That is empowerment. Do you think that people will be in this position? You know, when we started, I said all of this at times thrive, you know, when we're taking the papers, thrive because the people are impoverished.
So, Inka Kenny, the question I'm going to ask you
I think they're looking for initiative
or naming ceremony. Is it an empowerment?
You know,
so the man goes to his community. I want to paint a scenario for you so that you understand where I'm coming from. The man goes to his community. He distributes rice. He distributes beans. He distributes gari. Okay? Somebody else comes to his office to request for money for party. Because they believe that the money that is being given is a national cake. So and they are meant to have a share of it. That's why I say the people are the problem. The man giving you rice, if the man had created an enabling environment where you can farm. I mean, I grew up, and I'm sure that we all did at some point, at least I'm a millennial, I grew up in a community where there was a time it was very hard on my family, and we were only surviving by cassava that was grown in my father's backyard.
True.
Cassava, we make gari from it, we make lafu from it, we add pepper. When we want to cook, Momsi will send us to the backyard to go fetch some tomatoes and some pepper. We grind it on the grinding stone. And I'm talking about far back in the 90s.
Exactly.
We grind on the stone, and that was how we were feeding.
True.
We add onion in our backyard. We add ginger in our backyard. I do not understand. When people talk about Nigeria, it was better in some days. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but the thing is that you realize that, honestly, let me tell you.
We want it better. It's not better
let me tell you
anywhere.
from where I'm coming from. Honestly, we had all of this while we were growing up, but you go back to the community where I grew up, you find mansions erected on those properties, not the fault of the masses now, because it is the government that gives approvals for all of those grounds, all of those lands.
Are you sure it is the government or that the families, because their children had moved out? For example, let me give you another typical example. My mother's ancestral home in Akure right now, the children, the third generation, in fact, the younger ones than my mother, my generation, are asking to sell it. They want to give it to a developer to sell it right now, okay? It's the ancestral home of a royal family. They want to sell it and share the money.
Sad.
Oh,
that's a sad one.
They want to collect money from a developer and give it to a developer to sell it and share the money.
That's a sad
when you now go there 10 years from now and you see mansions upon mansions upon mansions there, you will say it's the government. No, our family sold it. And when I sell it to you, you have the opportunity to do whatever you want with the land.
Okay, because of our time, I know we can go on and on and on with this discussion, and I know it's something you have passion for, and that's why I know you'll never be wanting words to talk about when it comes to this discussion. Yes, I like to take you back to your summit again, because I saw a little bits and
of clips here
and there, and I also saw some things that I could, use as a takeaway from there. I saw some obas there. Now, the traditional rulers, they play a major role in grassroots, because I see that we've been talking about the local government chairman, the local government, and all of that. Now, the traditional rulers, are they occupying the position they ought to occupy in development of the grassroots?
Okay, Inka Kenny, how many
or are they compromised?
Okay, how many minutes do we have to answer this question?
Just go on.
Just go on.
Because that's the Constitution. That's the Constitution you're questioning right there.
Oh my God.
Don't forget that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, again, creating an anomaly, has placed the local government chairman above the traditional rulers, irrespective of the status or the class of traditional ruler. He is under a local government. So this is what happens. I go to you and I tell you this is what I think my community needs as a traditional ruler, which is what the Oluwafo will actually try to tell us at the summit.
Yes, I listened to him.
We need measurable progress. That was the bane of his own conversation with us. We need measurable progress. If the people are here today, they need to be here tomorrow.
True.
And they need to be here. And they need to be. That's how to measure growth.
Exactly.
So if we were here when you became a chairman, and the traditional ruler comes to you and tells you, my people need public toilet, market, and this. And to make that happen, you need to create blah, 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 blah. And it makes this recommendation to you as a chairman. In 1 year, the Oba and his people, we expect that we're here because you must have done part, if not all, of what we recommended that you do. But then, please, who forces the chairman to do what they recommended that he does? Nobody. Only the people. That's where the power lies, in the people. That's why I say we are the problem. So rather than asking for the right things, our king knows what we need, right? Because we'll go to palace to complain, they burgled my backyard yesterday. So the man knows that there is no police station in his town. You know, the security is a problem. So he's telling the local government, we need to have a police station. And so if we have police, we need to get this, we need to get that, we need to get that. The man knows that if he goes to build a police station, there is not much money that would, you know, go into. So the man decides to build a secretariat instead. Okay? Or he decides to bring down an entire school and build it again, rather than just renovating it. Because, you know, then humongous amount of money will go into, But if he wants to build a police post, it's just going to be very small, But the man is not interested in that. He needs to do capital projects.
Where the money...
You know, he needs to do so. And the chairman, what the man can now do as an Oba is to tell people who came from his community, who are the rich, who are the comfortable, who maybe come home for their festival or their anniversary, and then solicit funds, which is what you see happening, and say, we want to build a market. So the king starts the market. I was the one who covered Makogi when Makogi built their police station. It was done by the community.
Wow.
I know of Ayeto in Ogun State as well. They built their own.
The community.
They are building their market. They don't have roads, they don't have this, they don't have a single public school, they don't have it. In fact, their PhD has not been completed since forever, and it is still there. They're in Ogun State, the evidence is there. Their drainage system is not working, it's practically non-existent. The only way you will see that they will have a drainage or maybe a walking road now is maybe after the rain, because the king usually does this festival in December. He's going to grade the road by himself. Or call people in his community, well-meaning Nigerians who come from his community, or friends and well-wishers, to say, I want to do this, and people start donating stuff. We need to have local government chairmen who actually care. And we need to have people, because your king can even be punished.
Exactly.
Because of the, because of the role appropriated to him.
So the kings can
so
be
he
punished.
cannot push too much. He can only stay, I've told you what we need, you didn't do it. He will go back to his palace and sit and wait for the day you come to him. And when you come to him, and if you say, you know, the man can actually suspend him.
Of course. True.
And so,
of course.
The kings are as powerful as the people give them power. But they are only powerful over their community, over the administration of their community.
Okay,
when
so
it comes to governance in the modern day, now they can only make recommendations.
Okay, moving forward, what do you think, you know, to bridge this gap? What do you think policies or recommendations that should and must be put in place so that we can just move a little bit, if just a little bit, ahead of all of this?
We're tired of moving a little bit, we want to move now, and we want to move at the speed of light, because the current elected officials give it to those who are doing it well, and please, let's call to question those who are not doing it well. You must understand that people are not going to take it anymore. It's not because people are just going to be complaining. There's going to be an explosion in Lagos if the communities around Lagos don't develop.
True.
So we need to beg the chairmen who are there, who are going to be occupying positions, and the governors of those states around Lagos, for example, to please develop their communities so that the explosion, the population explosion coming into Lagos would reduce. Lagos needs the population, but we need to depopulate as well.
Exactly.
We don't have the room for the kind of population that we have. People are sleeping on the streets as it seems right now. The government is making sure they don't sleep in major areas. They're going into corners and villages and the streets to sleep, lie down on bikes and sleep in the middle of the road. We need to find
bridges.
a way, So we need to find a way of making sure our policies work. Financial autonomy has been granted to local government chairmen. For those governors who are currently saying that it's not going to happen in their lifetime and it's not going to happen, the people of their state need to understand that you need to call your governor right now and tell him that, sir, it must work. Because we are tired of being the village. We want to also experience development in our own life.
Okay, a very big thank you. Very big thanks to our guest today. We've been talking to a seasoned broadcast journalist, the executive director of For the Masses Foundation, and the convener of the Nigerian Grassroots Governors Summit Award in the person of Oluwatomisin Adebukola. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure being here this morning. Thank you for taking my saliva and refusing to replace it. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to being here again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we want to go give you a package right now. Yes, we're looking for other things to occupy our children with, other than, you know, school, you know, academic,
keeping them busy.
Academic, you know, education. Let's see this package, and we'll be right back.